Roger stood at the edge of the park, his eyes locked on a man across the street, fiddling with the antenna of an old, rusted van. Suspicious. Too ordinary. Roger narrowed his eyes, noting the van's faded plates. Another sign. They were everywhere. He pulled out his phone, snapping a quick picture. The man's head jerked up. "Hey! What are you doing?" His voice was sharp, too defensive for someone innocent. Roger turned and walked briskly away, heart racing. Always watching, Roger thought, clutching the phone tighter. They've gotten sloppy. A few hours earlier, the streetlight near Roger's apartment had flickered, then gone completely dark. A man had passed beneath it, tall, too pale, eyes strangely reflective in the dim light. Roger hadn't hesitated. He'd immediately noted the time, the place. Coincidences didn't exist. There had to be a pattern. Later, back at home, Roger opened his phone, scrolling through his gallery. The man from the van looked utterly unremarkable in the photo. No odd glints, no strange auras, just a regular guy in a rusted van. Frustration gnawed at him. He knew something was off. He went to his favorite online forum and started typing a new post, adding the photo for analysis. The replies came fast, people pointing out the old van's model, saying the antenna could just be for CB radio. Innocent explanations. Too many coincidences. Coincidence is a lie they feed us, Roger muttered as he grabbed his notebook and scribbled down more details. He thought of the man passing under the streetlight again. A flickering bulb? Really? Every detail screamed conspiracy, yet the world insisted on ordinary explanations. Days passed, and Roger's paranoia only grew. He sat at a cafe, watching the woman at the table near the window. She was talking to a man, gesturing casually, but there was something off. A flash of light glinted off her wrist, too sharp. Roger stared, sure he had seen something. His pulse quickened. He leaned closer, pretending to read the menu but listening. Vacation plans, a new apartment. Everything sounded so normal. His gaze drifted back to the glint. It was just a bracelet reflecting sunlight. He shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The woman caught his eye for a brief moment, and for an instant her smile seemed too wide. A shiver ran down his spine. He stood, knocking over his coffee in his haste to leave. The woman didn't follow. She just kept talking, the man at her table completely unaware. Outside, Roger wiped his sweating palms on his jeans. His mind raced, replaying the moment in the cafe. Had that been a trick of the light? It didn't make sense, but logic kept creeping in, undermining his certainty. That night, Roger lay in bed, his mind spinning. He'd collected enough evidence over the past week to fill notebooks. Still, no one believed him. Every forum post he made was met with skepticism. His phone buzzed with notifications, but the words were all the same. Mocking, dismissive. Grimacing, he opened the gallery app on his phone, scrolling past dozens of blurry photos of street corners, suspicious people, odd glints of light. His breath caught as he scrolled further. There it was, an image of him lying in his own bed, sleeping. But he hadn't taken that picture. Two tall figures stood over him, their long, pale fingers raised in peace signs. One of them was holding the phone, its reflective eyes almost glowing in the dark. His heart pounded in his chest as he stared at the screen, blinking hard. The room in the photo looked exactly as it did now. Rumpled sheets, his notebook open on the floor, the faint light from the street lamp leaking through the blinds. His hand shook as he zoomed in on the figures. They weren't wearing masks. These weren't costumes. Roger posted the photo to the forum with trembling fingers, his heart thudding in his chest. The message went live, and he waited for the responses. Surely this time they would see the truth. The photo was undeniable. Minutes later, the replies started pouring in. Nice try with the costumes, but you can see the zipper on the suit. Bro, you're getting sloppy. Photoshop can't fix the shadows, huh? Who's the cosplayer? Frustration roared in Roger's chest. He replied to each comment, trying to explain that the photo wasn't edited, that it was real. But the more he defended it, the worse the responses became. One user posted, "When are our alien saviors finally coming? Been waiting, Roger. They take selfies now?" Another added, "Can't wait till they abduct us all. Maybe next time get a selfie with better lighting." Roger stared at the screen, his world crashing down around him. He scrolled through the thread, feeling more isolated than ever. They had the evidence in front of them, and still, they laughed. He threw his phone onto the bed, running his hands through his hair. His fingers trembled. He glanced back at the screen, the alien figures still there, posing like tourists.